Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Bridgett. It's Thursday night, y'all. And listen, the coffee we are serving tonight is piping hot. Yes, I mean piping hot. All right. Listen, tonight's guest, I had the opportunity to hear her live on Instagram, and I immediately gravitated to her. So I just knew that I had to have her on here tonight. So what's up, Brandy K?
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yes. How you doing, girlfriend?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here to talk and to just fellowship. I'm excited.
Listen. So, Brandy, I have to tell you that I have anticipated this time for us. I've anticipated having this conversation with you. So for my listeners, my viewers, I know you to be a marketing expert in just a short time, but you're also a mom and you are a woman that wears many hats. So can you tell my audience just a little bit about you?
Yes. Well, my name is Brandy K, and I am located in Columbus, Georgia. I got my start in the military as an adult. I got started in the Air Force, actually, being a military justice paralegal. And I just have always been the girl that's like getting into everything. I'm anti-stay in your lane. I want to try everything. I want to experience everything. And that just led me into entrepreneurship, just trying. And that's how I got to wearing many different hats. From building websites. I'm a Wix partner, Wix expert. I've spoke at WixCon last year.
Wait, you're a Wix partner?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't put that in my mental notes. Okay.
And so that's kind of where I got my footing when it comes to like the marketing space. I started an online boutique, and that's where that post came from. I started an online boutique back in 2011. It was called Bee's Trendy Treasures. And this was like around the space that we kind of had first like got hold of like vendors and building websites. And I seen girls doing that and I was like, I can do that. Like I can like, and at the time I only had one kid. I was like 21 and I was like, okay. And I was on active duty and I went on GoDaddy and I got a website. I made a website and it was trash. Like, oh my God. It was horrible. But I built that website and network, met some great people to help me out and get me started and just mentor me. And man, within a year or two, it was just like orders everywhere, and I was just like, oh, I could do this. So I got out of the military to run that business full time, and I did that. Yeah, and so I had a physical location. I ended up getting a contract with AFES, which is the PX here. So I had the space in the mall and on the PX, and then I had an office space where I ran the online stuff, and that just kind of grew. And then I just started having people come to me and be like, "Hey, how are you doing this? Like, how are you living? How are you making it? Like, how are you doing this online thing?" And I started helping other people, and so it just kind of just grew from there. I don't think I've ever been the type to like set a like complete goal with business. I'm always just kind of like, all right, let's see where it takes me this time. So.
Wow. So I like the fact that you had a dream, you had a vision, and you just went for it. And then, you said at the time you had one child. So talk to me a little bit more now. So you have the one child, you have the dream, the business is growing. And so what's next? Because I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs and women who are juggling multiple things, at some point, you have to ask for help, because if you don't ask for help and you try to do every single thing, you don't really live up to your best potential, because we can't be all things to all people all the time. So how were you able really to manage both things, and how did you get to the next level?
So I had and have amazing friends. And so at the time, my best friends, they were helping me run my business. They were the ones helping me ship out orders. They were watching kids when I was out doing stuff. We did fashion shows. We did all kind of stuff. And they really, really helped me. But I'm hard-headed, like most women. I'm hard-headed, and I definitely went through a learning phase of thinking that I could do it all. And in the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, that first year or two, like it was trial and error. It was, you know, figuring it out, and it was spending a lot of money and not making money back. It was, you know, I remember one month I made like $20,000 and I had no money left. Like after everything was shipped out and after everything, I'm like, I just had a great month. Why don't I have any money left? But I wasn't pricing my items right. I wasn't, you know, I didn't know. I didn't have the business know-how at that time. So that's when I kind of got into it. Like, okay, if I'm going to really do this and this is what I'm going to do, I got to like really learn. So that's when like it was all about business for me. Like at that point, if you approached me, it had to be about business or nothing else. And that's kind of how I got the entrepreneur moniker, and like people being like, oh yeah, she like talk to her, she can figure it out. And that it just grew from there. But with the kid thing, let me tell you. So I had my first daughter when I was
my mompreneurs out there with the kid. She gonna help your life.
So I had my first daughter at 19, got pregnant at 18, had her at 19. I was working at Waffle House, okay? I was working at Waffle House. And I remember the day that I found out I was pregnant, I sat on the newspaper machine, because that's how that old this was. There was a newspaper machine. And I sat on the newspaper machine and I prayed the longest prayer ever. And it's funny because every time I drive past that place, I'm just like, whoo. But I prayed the longest prayer ever. And I was just like, if you just let me be able to like chase my dream, I'm gonna take care of this baby. Like I promise I'm gonna take care of it. Like I'm gonna do right if you just let me be able to. And it was kind of just always like that. Like I like being able to be honest, just because I just knew like there was no other option. Like I was not taking no for an answer with anything. So it was like, I'm gonna run this business and I got something to do. I'm gonna put the baby on my hip. Or I'm like, it just wasn't an option. It's still not an option. Like it can't.
Wow.
It can't be because you have a kid or because you're a single mom. Because at the time, I had the one child. I had her, like I said, when I was 19. Remember, I said 21. By 23, I was already on my second child and second child father. Okay, so I had to really learn how to maneuver through, you know, build relationships, and now having two children. And that was hard. Like that was very, very hard. But I just always looked at it like, you know, what's the alternative? Like, you know, I could feel bad, and I did, and I, you know, went through bad days and had like, why me and all this stuff. But it's just always like, I want to win. I'm gonna win. And that's how I think.
So fast forward. So you got this documentary. The documentary is powerful, y'all. If you haven't seen the documentary, you got to watch Brandy's documentary. And she talks about wearing many hats. So Brandy, take us behind the scenes to why this documentary and why now?
Honestly, so the documentary, I quit. Okay, there's no other way to put it. And it's very hard to say that. I quit my business. That's very hard to say out loud.
Any of my entrepreneurs that are on here, Brandy quit her business. Okay, quit her business. Okay, all right.
Let me tell you why. So I was having an amazing year. Like I never seen this much money in the bank account before. Good year, right? You know, networking, meeting good people, life was great. And then life wasn't great. Me and my ex-husband were like beefing. Things were going horrible at home. The business was progressing so great. I went and got an office space, which I still have, been there for 2 years now. And the day that I got the keys for my office, my little brother was sentenced to 15 years in prison. The same exact day. Right. The same exact day. So
the day you got the keys to your office, your little brother was sentenced to 50. Wow.
The same day, right? And so again, I'm dealing with that. And then, you know, my marriage is in shambles. You know, and I was just at a place where I was just like, it's always something. Like it's always something. And it's just like, I just want to work. Like I just want to work on my thing. I just want to do my thing. And it just felt impossible, you know, and like thinking back to that is like so weird to think that I was in a space where I thought stuff was impossible, because it's completely not me. I'm the person that believes anything is possible. So I was like, for once in my life, at a space, you know, having 4 children, like anything where I've been deployed twice. I've been in some horrible situations, but that by far was the absolute worst. And it was really bad. And I made a lot of people upset. And, you know, like me stopping and me, maybe not even handling people the way that I should have handled them, because at that moment life was happening, life was actively happening.
And that's important to know, because as a business owner, life does happen. And when life happens, sometimes we don't know, like sometimes when life happens, it takes me a minute to be able to grab a hold of me.
Yes.
And so if you can't grab a hold of you, it is so hard to be able to serve and support someone else. And I think that's important as an entrepreneur. That's why it's so important to have people that you are connected to, because even people you are connected to, they'll get in the fight with you. And that's important.
Yeah,
so life happens.
Yeah, life happens. And I think as entrepreneurs, we naturally neglect ourselves. Definitely our mental health, and that was like a huge thing in the documentary for me, is mental health, because, I was stressed out. I was like working every single day, staying up at night, working on client work. And, I still have my kids and still have a household and all this stuff. And I had reached, I had burnt the candle on both sticks, and it was just on both ends, and it was just over. And I felt like when I was ready to come back, I took a year off. And when it was time for me to come back, I was just like, I have to address the elephant in the room, because if I don't, I feel like I'm being dishonest. And that's one thing that, like, I've tried not to be, because, like, I've had the whole, are you really an entrepreneur? Because you go work over here, or you go do this, you go do that. And I'm like, my Schedule C and any income that I have, like, they balance. So I am. But, I'm blessed with options. I've been blessed with a lot of stuff, and for my plate to be big, but that does not mean that sometimes it doesn't get overwhelming. And, that moment I wanted to quit. That was the only time that I ever really wanted to, like, really stop. And I just felt like, I owed it to anybody who followed me, or felt like, they were looking up to me, to tell them the truth. Because if I just jumped back up like nothing happened and like everything was all good, I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror, or have anybody aspiring to be like me or anything. And I don't care if it's 1 or 2 people, like, what I'm saying, that's not about, because I've had some responses to the docs to be like, oh, well, like, you're not a celebrity, like, but I'm like, if I can influence 2 people, I'm not lying to those 2 people. So this was my gift to those 2 people, because, I didn't make any money off that documentary. That was something that I just felt like I needed to do to communicate the best way I knew how, and that's to create.
So I think, so I want to go back to a couple of things that you said. The first thing is when someone said to you, you're not a celebrity. I think that it comes to a point in your entrepreneurial journey and your career, and I say this for myself as well, that I'm at a point in my life now where the impact that I have is more important than the accolades.
Right.
And so when you get to that part in your life where you see people's lives changing, that's what's important, because you know what it takes to have your life change. You know what you've gone through. You know how many times you've been up late at night crying. How many times you try to figure out how in the world, as a business owner, I'm going to make what's showing up on the outside really work behind the scenes, because that's where the real work is. The real work is behind the scenes. It's not with the picture perfect thing that everybody else sees. It's the work behind the scenes. And the work behind the scenes causes you sacrifice. It causes you heartache. It causes you so much grief sometimes. But the fact that you want to see the impact and the change that it makes on other people's life, I think that's what, holds the commitment together for us. And so to hear somebody say, well, you're not a celebrity. No, but we're showing up as our authentic self.
Yes.
This is who we are.
I'm a personality. Like, I've always been a personality, like, especially when you get to know me. But the honest thing about it, I never wanted to be in the spotlight. Like, I ran from that. I ran from that, and I was like, that's not me, because I was like very self-conscious, very, some would consider me outgoing or, an extrovert, but I do not associate as such. So it's like, I just wanted to do what I felt I needed to do. And I feel like that's the pivot in entrepreneurship, when you go from, building an empire, or building a real business versus just like hustling or side hustling. Like, the only way you're going to be different is be different, because I don't care.
The only way somebody put that in the comments. The only way you're going to be different is be different. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, it's the only way. And so it was just kind of like, people gonna say what they're gonna say, but they're gonna do that anyway. So it was just like, I'm about to just create. And I literally told myself that, like, I'm not gonna focus like so much on like trying to find clients, and like, I'm not gonna do that this time. I'm just gonna create stuff. I'm just gonna, like, I create a project, I'm gonna start on another project, and I'm just gonna work until the right person sees it.
So I want to dig into the documentary, because one of the things that really drew me to you after looking at your Instagram, and I'm not sure how I started following you, but one of the things that really drew me to you was not just your authenticity, but it was also your transparency. And so when I watched the documentary, to be able to show your scars, but also show your healing, that's huge. Because I'm navigating those waters now, and so to actually hear you say that, to actually hear you talk about it, because after I watched your live, hey Damien, after I watched your live and I heard you openly say, that you were divorced. That was the first time I felt like that, it's okay for me to talk about me being divorced. It's okay for me to have that conversation, because for so long I hid it because I felt like a failure. And so that's how I felt the connection when I heard you tell your story. And that's why it was so important for me to have you on, because not only as an entrepreneur that you built a brand through marketing, but you've also had a place in life that now you're able to share your story and show what it looks like as you go through this process.
Definitely. And that was super important. And shout out to London Mahogany, who was a co-producer, director, who shot that. I told him, I said, I can't just have this space of just like emotions and chaos without visually showing that relief. Like, I want to give the viewer that relief when that music comes and that sunlight comes through the leaves. I was like, I want them to feel relief. Like, okay, it's okay, she's all right. She's okay. That was very important for me visually, because I just, like, if you hold on long enough, you will get on the other side, long as you hold on long enough. And I'm so glad I did. And that's one of the reasons why, like, it was so important for me to tell it, because it's like, what if I didn't? Like, what if I didn't? That story would have never gotten told. So now I have this constant reminder. And then plus, I have gotten so many DMs and emails and messages and just people telling me, like, that's exactly what I needed to hear, or, I'm going through this, or I'm going through that. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. I did the right thing. Like, I know I did the right thing.
Wow. So, going through the documentary, and you are a marketing expert. And one of the things that I saw when you were giving out marketing information, and I think it's very important, especially for those who are entrepreneurs or those who are leaders that are watching, I noticed a couple of things that you said today. And I really want to dig deep into that, because I think that's important as a creative or anybody that's marketing anything. One thing that you said today on your Instagram, because I pay attention, Brandy K, you said that when you are marketing your product about using all these stock photos.
Yeah.
Using all these stock photos. So take the audience into about using these stock photos. And when you want to gain an audience, because you have like what, a 50,000 audience. How big is your audience? 32,000. Yo, she got 32,000 followers on Instagram. Okay, so she know a thing or two about marketing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I will say this: it's not the amount of followers; it's, can you get those followers to do something that you want them to do? Can you get them to buy with you? Can you get them to shop with you? Can you get them to support you, to buy into you? But the post that I made today, it just came from, I have a lot of people come in my DMs and they're like, hey, I'm just starting out. Can you look at my business? Can you tell me what you think? And a lot of times I'll look and it's like either boutiques or products or something like that. And they use stock photos. And right then I'm always like, I need you to go like draw. I need you to go, like, what gets your creative juices flowing? Because that's the easy way out, you know, and the people who really are out here creating brands and making money, selling stuff and doing, you know, doing innovative things, they're getting creative, you know, like I hadn't had a business loan. Like I didn't start out with a business loan. I did the slow flip, like $200 in, $300 out. But you know what I'm saying? I did the slow flip. So it's like,
wait a minute, break that down for people who don't know what the slow flip is.
The slow flip is I just got my taxes and I'm gonna start this business. I'm gonna take this $1,200, like, you know what I'm saying? Call my mama, you got $200. You got, hey brother, you got, you know, that's how Black people start businesses. We don't have the access to the capital the way other people do. So you know, I'm always like, it's the creativity. The post, the pink bookshelf. That was my thing today, because I was scrolling through my pictures and I seen a picture of that pink bookshelf. And I remember that pink bookshelf was in my showroom. And I remember my dad was helping me get everything together and shop and put stuff together. And, you know, my anxiety was so high because I knew all the furniture I wanted. I wanted all this fancy boutique furniture. And y'all, those prices were, them prices were up there, and I just could not pull it off. I couldn't have it. And I was so like sad about it. And my dad is like, look, we're going to have to figure out how we can make this thing look good on a budget. We went to Walmart. We got that bookshelf for $25. We went to Lowe's and got some spray paint. We spray painted it. We cut some holes in there. We put some, like the PVC piping through there to hang stuff up on. And when we got done, it looked amazing. You know, like it was great. And if I hadn't have, because I would have went and made that money. But if I wasn't brave enough to try something different, it wouldn't have happened like that. It wouldn't have happened, because I could have went and got that money. I could have went and made that money some type of way. And the impact would have been great, but the profit margin would have never been that big, you know, on that purchase. So I posted that to urge anybody who is starting a product-based business or starting any kind of business. Creativity is what's going to sell. Like, creativity is what's going to make you look different from everybody else.
You hear that? Creativity is what's going to sell. Creativity is what's going to make you look different. Y'all get your questions ready, because after Brandy and I finish our interview portion, she's going to be answering a few marketing questions. And I have to tell you, listen, y'all, because I bring y'all good quality people, and these are people that you get the opportunity to ask them questions now, because when you meet with them one-on-one, it comes with a whole price tag. All right.
Just remember, marketing is an investment. It's not an expense. It's an investment. If it's good marketing, you're going to make your money back. So, you know, and I'm getting into that space, because I'm getting into that space where I want higher level marketers to help me. And I feel like, you know, if you want to scale your business, like, you're gonna have to tackle marketing.
Let's talk about the visibility part, though, because you talked about being creative with your content. And you talked about, you know, not using the stock photos. And I get not using the stock photos because it doesn't separate you apart. It doesn't separate your brand apart. You blend in and you look like everybody else. And especially if you're in an area that is highly saturated, you have to have that one secret ingredient or that one secret sauce that says to somebody else, come over here to see what I have, because what I have will actually solve a problem for you, or it would actually ease the pain. Or in other words, my favorite thing, I'm going to save you time. You know, if you work with me, I'm going to save you time, because right now time is like my highest form of currency.
Yes.
Once you get my time, like, that's a big deal to me.
Yes.
So creating content, I think that's important. I think a lot of business owners or creatives or leaders struggle when it comes to creating content. And I think there are times we post things or promote things for the sake of really having something posted, but it does not yield a return.
So 9 times out of 10, when I see that happening, it's because they don't know who they're talking to. So like, it's just like if you walk into a doctor's office, you're not going to talk to your child the same way you talk to a doctor. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to. So it's almost impossible to talk to the entire Instagram. It's going to be confusing. So it's really about finding your target market, because once you find your target market, once you find your people, the connection is there, but it does take time for you to find your people so that you can come up with how you're going to talk to them and what you're going to say, and what do they want. That's like a major thing that I've been working on in like building my new brand, is just like customer experience. What do the client, what do they want? I can tell you all day what I want for you, but what do you want? Because I've seen people make six figures with horrible websites, but because their audience likes their content, they're good. So that's why I said if we could stop focusing so much on the visual appeal when it comes to the beginning stages. Now there does come a point where, all that stuff matters, like really, really matters. But I'm talking to the people that are just getting started, who are trying to figure out where they can get the funds from, or, what. Don't focus so much on funding. Focus on creativity. Like get your creativity together, because I feel like if you can't be creative with your content, you're not going to be creative enough to make this business go when it can't go, or when it's not going. Because if you run a business and you are using this to eat or whatever, we didn't have to get creative to make this over here. We got to move some things around and make some things work. And the only way to do that is creativity. And so a lot of times I feel like we're overthinking it. Because even like right now, I went through a whole phase of like, okay, what's my new layout going to look like? My new Instagram layout is going to be, because my last firm, the way I did it, everything was very organized, very pretty. It was all pre-designed. But what I noticed was people don't want pictures of me. I mean, I think I'm cute, but they don't want pictures of me. My brain. You know what I'm saying? Like they legit want my thoughts. And I read a book called How to Be a Thought Leader, because that was always my thing. It was like, I'll never run out of content if y'all want me to be a thought leader. Like if I want to be a thought leader, I'm never going to run out of content, because I'm constantly, like, my brain does not turn off. So I told myself, I was like, I can just go on Twitter and just post my thoughts and then repost it to Instagram, and everybody loves it. And it was so simple. Like it's the simplest thing, but like I did not want to do that. I hate how it looks. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like it, but that's what people want. They want the words. They want the advice. They want to be able to scroll, get it quickly, get what they want, and go about their business. And so I think we got to simplify it, and we got to start thinking about our people.
That's true. So I have a master class I teach on Wednesday nights. And so I started teaching them how to create a business avatar. And with the business avatar, really creating visually what their ideal client looks like. And it goes back to what you said, because of the fact that, when it comes to having your business and you want to make sure you're speaking to your ideal market, you also want to make sure you're speaking their language. And so the great thing about the avatar is that you are the living experience that your product or service works, because you tried it on yourself first.
Yeah.
And that's why you got in business.
Yeah. And then sometimes, something that I see happen quite often is sometimes your target market isn't your actual consumer base. Because
that's good. Because your target market isn't your actual consumer base.
Yeah, because you may
break that down, Brandy. Break that down.
So like you can have a plan, and I think like we do this because I've done this before too. And then you think about it later, like, wait a minute. But you basically you set up a plan. Okay, I'm gonna start a clothing store, and I'm gonna sell shirts and skirts and shoes. But then people see that you have hair over here, and they like the hair more than they like what you intended to sell. Because you have a lot going on. You got this over here, that over there. So I just always felt like you have to be constantly analyzing who's reacting and who's responding, because it may not be who you think it is. And so that's why that's a difference between your target market and your consumer base, because basically target market is who you're going after, and your consumer base is who's actually buying. And
I hope y'all getting this. That's good. Your target trust. I hope you getting this. Y'all get your questions ready. That's good. Your target market and your consumer base. I hope y'all are getting that. Yes, it's so true. Absolutely. I've
even experienced that. That's something I've experienced, like with having a bigger following, is that sometimes the people that like my content on social media may not be my client. they're not my client, because now I'm kind of scaling and getting to a space where I'm working with more professional clients. I want to work with, doctor offices and things like that, because I want to do their stuff differently. So I want to work with creatives. I want to work with, with different type of businesses. And so I recognize that my target audience is not my consumer base. But there's a solution for that. You just create something for your target market and your consumer base, and kind of make everybody. So but that definitely happens, and it's especially with Instagram and social media, like with all the other social media platforms, it's really easy for that to happen.
Especially now. So now, social media now is a place right now which is essential for every operation right now, especially during the pandemic. It's essential, because your business is not going to survive if you don't have some form of social media right now.
I believe
and
that.
It may not be Facebook or Instagram. It could be LinkedIn. It could be your email marketing. It could be some other methods, but you got to have something now. So now, with the current climate that we're in right now, and I have seen people who are really successful during this time. I have seen people who have really produced during the pandemic, because right now everybody's available.
Yep.
People you want to talk to, they're available now. People you want to meet with, everybody is available now. So what advice would you give to someone who is actually in the beginning phases of business? They have a great idea and they have a great product. But, when you have a great idea and a great product and you're still learning business, how do you get yourself out there and make sure what you're posting is really aligned with the business? Because I see people that just post. Like, hey, I got this cute idea, but it doesn't align with anything. What advice would you give to someone to make sure they are aligned?
One, pick something you're passionate about. Pick something you're passionate about. And two, honestly, it's strategy. Like, it is strategy. Like, there has to be a plan. There has to be a goal. There has to be strategy. And there's really no way around it. You may get lucky and just fall on the right opportunity. But I believe there has to be some amount of strategy when it comes to marketing your business, when it comes to being known for what you do, and being an industry leader. If you're passionate, everything you talk about is going to be your business. Everything you do is going to be your business. So it's kind of like, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you really, really love to do, it won't be so hard to align. It's just, how are you presenting the content? Like, does it make sense? I tell people all the time, take yourself out of your shoes and put yourself in the consumer's shoes. Think about all the times you walk down the street and you see advertisements, and you see, when you see stuff on social media that makes you click or makes you go to the website. Think about it. What just made me do that? Because it happens so much, we don't even think about it. We don't even actually think about the emotions behind marketing. And I'm huge on emotions. I'm huge on the psychology of marketing, because of the fact that, like, it's an emotional thing. People react because of emotion. So I feel like you've got to figure out how you connect with people, because now social media is so oversaturated with everybody selling something.
Yes. Everybody's selling something, and everybody's on social media all day, every day, at any time of day or night. Absolutely. So, Brandy, before we start taking questions from our audience, the documentary, you shared your truth. You're on the other side. And I believe in love. I believe in love. Listen. I believe in love. Now that you're on the other side, it's safe to say that you're already divorced now, right?
In the process.
Okay. Okay.
Look, we're transparent.
Yeah, okay, so you're in the process of the divorce, okay?
So look, okay. I'm gonna tell you just like this. Okay. It was very hard, and for anybody watching, me and my ex, we have a pretty good relationship, and we spoke, because I told him, I said, hey, I'm about to go into this space where like I gotta be transparent. I gotta do this. I gotta talk about it. I got to. And so I have his blessing to speak, only so far, but I would just say this, failure comes in all shapes and forms, and I feel like every single failure has a different pain associated with it. But it also has a different like type of triumph and like, greatness when you do come on the other side. I look at that failed relationship as like just lessons, I'm grateful. Like I have to be 100% grateful, because if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be where I am now. And like all of that, and we produce children. So, it's good. But I definitely, I encourage anybody to like follow your heart. Like follow your heart. I never wanted to have a failed marriage ever. But if I had to choose between me or another person and my happiness, it's gonna be me. Because I got too many people to take care of. I got too much to do. So, you have to protect that. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a true creative, like you do have to protect that. You do. And I
say that again for the people in the back. If you are entrepreneur, you gotta choose you.
You do. And unfortunately, like I said, I've made mistakes when it comes to relationships and things like that. So it's like
relationships are hard for entrepreneurs.
So listen, right. So like
they are hard. And listen, I'm just gonna go there, okay? All right, I'm gonna go there. All right. Nothing against B. Simone at all. At all. Nothing against B. Simone. I'm not coming for B. Simone. Let me make that clear. I am not coming for B. Simone, okay?
I gonna come with you.
Okay. At all. All right. I know when she made her statement, it was like,
I agree though.
It blew up, okay?
But I agree. Like I agree with her statement now because of what
so for people who don't know what her statement is, tell them what her statement is.
She said that she only wants to date another entrepreneur, somebody with the entrepreneurial mindset. And a lot of people took offense to that because she basically said, like, I'm not dating a guy with a 9 to 5. Which that is a little harsh, okay? Listen, that's a little harsh.
Y'all get your questions ready for Brandy.
Right. Yeah, that's a little harsh. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm 32 now, which I feel grown. I feel grown. So I'm like, at the end of the day, you have to create the life you want for yourself. And nobody can dictate that. Like, nobody should be able to dictate what that is for you. And, and honestly, what happened to me, I was not in a horrible, I wasn't in an abusive relationship or anything like that. It wasn't horrible like that. It just wasn't for me. And it took a lot to leave that situation, you know what I'm saying? To leave that marriage, it took a lot because like I had to own up to my mistakes and own up to, what role I played in that situation. So, I mean, you have to do you. Because if you don't, I did never want to live a life where I'm like 70 and I regret it.
I would say that too. I would agree with you. You don't want to live your life with regrets. I do believe in love. I do believe in dating. I do believe in happily ever after. I believe it's possible. I do think it's important to stay true to yourself. I do think it's important that you are to be connected to God. Like I think all of that is important and it's essential. And I also feel like as an entrepreneur that you communicate your expectations. Because what happens as an entrepreneur, those of us who are creatives, those of us who have business mindset, sometimes your business mindset goes on overload. Yeah. And you can think things like consistently 24 hours a day. Sometimes I have to tell my mind to like, oh my gosh, like Bridgett, like stop. Because you think about all the things you want to do. You think about all the places you want to go. You think about all the products, all the services. You think about all the things that you want to see happen in your business. And you become so consumed with all of that, that you are not really giving time to other things that need your attention.
And I definitely learned that the hard way, and it cost me. Like it literally cost me. And I talk about it in the documentary. It cost me. And I like now I make sure I tend to home. That is a mistake I'll never make again. Because, what's my priority? What is my priority? And that's why I say, if you use creativity in your business, and if you get to a happy space in your business, it won't be stressful. Right. It really won't. It won't be stressful. If you're bumping your head up against the wall, 9 times out of 10, that's not the direction you're supposed to be going up in. So right. I have had to learn that the hard way. So
right.
So I'm sharing my story so that you guys don't have to learn the hard way.
Absolutely. All right. So Tressa, get your questions ready. Damien, if you got marketing questions, get your questions ready. So I'm going to kick off the questions first. So Brandy, let's talk about from the marketing aspect for people who are, they are not beginners in their business. They're midway. They get stuck. Because sometimes you get stuck, They get stuck in the middle of the business. Mm-hmm. What are things that you do when you get stuck? How do you find inspiration?
I go back to the mission. I feel like you should definitely have a mission statement for your business, and you should have it somewhere on the wall where you can look at it. And actually, every single time I make a decision in my business, I always go back to the mission. Does that make sense? Does that align with the mission? And if it doesn't, then I have to ask myself, why do I want to do this? And who does it benefit? So, and why, really why? So if I get stuck, I go back to my plan. I go back to the plan. And I feel like, for people who say business plans are outdated and you don't need to have them. No, because if you're excited about your business, why wouldn't you be excited about writing that down? Write it down. It doesn't have to, you don't even have to share it with anybody. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct. It doesn't have to be in the perfect format, but literally sit down and write down what your next year looks like, what you want your 5 years to look at. Because if you write that with enthusiasm, and you write that with any amount of passion, when you reread that thing later, you're going to feel it because it's you. You're going to feel it. So I'm all about writing it down and going back to.
I know one of the things that helps me, when I get to a place of being stuck, one of the things that helped me is for a moment, I just do like an internal release. Like, it's just like, I just take a moment, just like breathe. Like I'm not, not like exercise or anything, but I just like, okay, let me just breathe. And as soon as I like clear my head a little bit, then, I can start to be creative again. But I get times where I get stuck, and then I get times where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I get so anxious, like I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And those are the times where I'm most effective. What happens with me is this. Hey, Wanda. Wanda is an amazing goal setting coach. I need to introduce you to Wanda, Brandy K. But listen, you know what happens to me, which is crazy. The times where I don't think it's my best, those are the most successful times. Yep. The time when I had worked on something and perfected it, I was just like, are you kidding me?
Because we're our own worst critic. And when you're your own worst critic, you're going to nitpick all the flaws. And honestly, like, the sooner you can like fall in love with your flaws, I think I had made that
that's good. Somebody put that in the comment. Fall in love with your flaws.
Yeah. If you fall in love with your flaws, they won't stick out so much to you, and you won't have that urge to fix everything. I was like that when I first started photo shoots. I was like, oh, I don't like that. But I started putting it out there because I had a marketing director. He was a professor, and he told me one time, I got up to speak and I was very like fidgety and just, he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't feel like I look good today. And he said, well, guess what? When you sit down, I'm still looking at you, and I see you. The way you walked in is how I see you every day. That's how I see you. So whether you give me what I want, I still see you. And he told me that, and I've never been scared to walk on the stage again, because it's like, hey, whether
you sit down or stand up, I still see you.
Yeah. He's like, I see you. He's like, you're not invisible. He's like, just because you're not at the front of the room, just because you're not speaking to everyone does not mean you're invisible. I see you. So he's like, whether you're sitting down or you're standing up and you're in front of everybody, like, you have something to say, you have something to give. So like, just do it. And after that, I was like, that was good. I think I didn't get that. I didn't get that until about 24.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I was kind of like, you know, what stage?
Mm-hmm. Wow. I know for me, I think like speaking and interviewing and all of that, that's like one of my strong suits. Like I can talk about anything. Okay. First of all, I like to read anyway. So I'm going to read, I'm going to research. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to ask somebody. I'm not afraid to ask anybody, and I'm not intimidated easily. I'll ask you any kind of questions. And here's my take on it. Not that it's right. This is my take on it. Okay. You should be asking for my autograph. That's my mindset. Okay. Not that it's right. And I say that because, and let me tell you what, I say that because it keeps me, number one, for not feeling like I'm inferior to other people. Yeah. Not that I'm better. No, because there are people that do what I do 10 times better. There are so many more people who are more qualified. They have the skill set, they have the platform, they have the audience. But one thing I do know is that I show up as my authentic self, and I do know that what I do make an impact. And I also know that what I do helps women skyrocket their bank account. Now that I know without a shadow of a fact. And so when you are confident in yourself, and when you are confident in your brand, that's how you get results. One of the things I shared in my masterclass is that, listen, honey, if you're not confident, they're not buying. We're not buying, because if you're not confident, that means you don't believe in your product. If you don't believe in your product, why you want me to believe in it? Why you want me to buy it?
Yeah. And I, and that was one thing, like I've always been super confident in my abilities, like my mental ability, because I'm the same. Like I'm going to read, I'm going to research. I've always been that person. Even when I was younger, like something was wrong, they going to call Brandy. Like she knows somebody or knows the answer or something. But I was never really confident in like my presence, because I was just always like, I always felt like the awkward girl. Like I was the awkward girl that like, I wanted to read and like dress up like characters. I don't know. I was just a weirdo. Mm-hmm. Still am. So it just always was like, that's just never been my strong suit. But for some reason, I'm always put in that position. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, get comfortable being uncomfortable in uncomfortable places. Like get used to it. And then
you gotta be a risk taker as an entrepreneur, because you can create a product, and if you don't plan the launch correctly, nobody's going to be prepared to buy your product. You got to plan the launch. If you got something new coming out, you got to plan it. And so I like what you did with your documentary. Tell everybody how you did your documentary when you wanted to reach people to get them to watch it.
Yeah. So initially, like I said, I definitely wanted to tell my story. But then on the business side, I was like, you know what? If I can write this and, produce this the way that I see it in my head, this can be a lead magnet to where I can send this out and, a client, they get to see what my home life is like. They get to see the pillars of me as a person. They get to see how I am about business. They get to see how I value my friendships and my relationships. So, I was like, you know what? I can make this the lead magnet. It's not the product. It's the lead magnet. The product is coming. The product is coming. So it's all strategy. And I'm going to tell you, it has been hard to be patient.
It's hard to be patient.
Even for me, it is hard to be patient, because from the day that I knew that I started working on the documentary, I had to prepare, and I had to drip that information and like tell it without telling it and build the buzz and get the email list ready.
For these entrepreneurs that are on here, for creative, that's important. You got to tell it without telling it. You got to drip the information, and you got to have the strategy. And when you have the strategy, you got to have a message in the strategy, not just the strategy.
And it was sort of, and I tested myself, and I say that, that you should figure out how you can challenge yourself and test yourself, figure out what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. Because I knew that for me, telling my story and being transparent, I knew that I would be able to speak directly to my client. And I said, this is not about a profit today. This is about finding the right client so that we can profit tomorrow. So, and it took me, I marketed that for about 6 months before. Like,
oh, that's good. That hit me. Wait a minute. Finding the right client so we can profit tomorrow.
Yes. Because the thing is,
Kim, you hear that? Find the right client so you can profit tomorrow. That's good.
Tomorrow, yeah. Sacrifice profit today for profit tomorrow. Basically, because I look at it like, in prior years, I worked with a lot of people. Like, I touched a lot of people, but I was burnt out. I was tired. And I don't really feel like, I had that one project that really just, was my project that I just was really in love with, because I don't want to only be in love with my stuff. Of course, I love everything I create, but it was just like, I want to create something with someone and see them reach the same level of success as me or more. Like, I want to help somebody do that. And I feel like I have yet to do that. I've helped people get started, but my next level looks like creating another me. And, or,
creating another you. That's good.
Because I feel like as a marketer, that's the proof. That's the receipt. That's the proof in the pudding. And I'm ready for that. Like, I told myself, I'm like, I'm ready for that. I'm ready to commit myself to a client and help them get where they need to be. So that was kind of my goal in creating the documentary, and just kind of like hitting people in the gut and being like, all right, this is what it's going to be moving forward. Declaration.
Kim, Wanda, Tressa, Damien, if y'all have any questions, while we have Brandy, who is a Wix expert, which I'm glad I found that out tonight. Listen, if you have any questions, ask Brandy your questions while I'm waiting to see if you have questions. I want to make a couple of announcements. Monday, October the 19th, I am moderating the panel for the Philly Female Forum. It's at 1:00 p.m. And I'll share the flyer again. It is an amazing opportunity. Toyota is sponsoring the panel, and I'm super happy. The Philly Female Forum, Monday, October the 19th. It's a virtual women's empowerment experience, gathering the most powerful women in Philadelphia, and the event is free. So please log on. I would love to see you. I heard the numbers are really going through the roof. Also, I just want to share with you as well. I now have a blog on my website. I'm super happy about that. I have a blog on my website, and on the blog, you'll start getting weekly content where I'll talk about fashion, diversity, and entrepreneurship. So I got a lot of content that's on there, a lot of things that are happening. And because I had a great meeting today with my brand manager, Brandy, guess what I'm getting ready to do?
What?
Girl, I'm going to have this exclusive shopping club, okay? Exclusive shopping club. Listen, it'll be separate. It'll be separate from people that just buy off my website. To be in my exclusive club, you will get things that won't show on the website. You get insider stuff, okay? And you get a separate discount. Yes, you'll be in the know of the first things I get. It won't be things that everybody else has. I've also worked with a couple of people who are going to create pieces. So it will be different things. And I won't be duplicating it. So once the inside, that's it. So listen, stay on the lookout. We got a lot of great things coming. And let me tell you something, Black Friday this year going to be blazing. First of all, this last quarter, we showing up this last quarter. And for all my entrepreneurs on here, we are showing up this last quarter. If you didn't make any money in the first 3 quarters, you can make money in this last quarter. You just got to show up consistently.
Yes, people want to support you. Like, people, like, I love the energy right now of like people. Like, I've literally had people like, how can I want to buy something, and I'm like, oh, that's so nice. Like, they just want to support. So everybody's like that, because I've been extra on the is it Black owned? Let me do that.
yeah. People want to buy some Black owned now. Tressa has a question for you. Tressa says, I believe in my product. I don't believe in my execution. How do I jump? Tressa, what do you mean you don't believe in your execution? Is it you don't believe in the technical of executing the actual product itself, or the process of getting it marketed to other people? So what do you mean you don't believe in the execution?
And just hearing the question, so I know I met with a young lady not too long ago, and she told me like she didn't understand marketing and she didn't get like how things were working. And I said, so what material have you read about marketing? What have you read about a launch? What education have you had about it? And she said none. And I said, listen, when I first started and I was broke because I remember I could not afford a website. I got on Wix. Somebody introduced me to Wix. I got on Wix and I read the entire blog in about 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the help center and I read every single article. And if you've ever been on that thing, that's a lot. And I literally taught myself. So, you know, it's application. Like a lot of times it's like, how much are you applying yourself to the parts that you don't know? If you don't have the money to hire somebody to do it for you, you have no other option but to learn or get creative.
Mm-hmm.
Get creative or learn. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, we work in so many different spaces in our business. It's very important to have some amount of knowledge about every little. Some people will say no, that's what you hire people for, but I always like, I want to have some knowledge of, and honestly, that's how I discovered I'm good at this thing over here, or I'm good at that thing over there, because I want to get some amount of knowledge.
Tressa, you said I'm not good at marketing my product. I've been trying to get a site for a year. Tressa, we're going to connect you so you can get you a site, because you need a site for your product. Absolutely. We're going to connect you because you definitely need a site. You definitely, we have maybe about like 2 or 3 more minutes. So if anybody else has a question, while I'm waiting to see if anyone else has a question, listen, if you have not registered to vote, please, if you have early voting, vote like your life depends on it. Vote. Yeah. We gotta vote like your life depends on it. So Brandy, oh my God, this has been amazing. So without me telling it all, me and Brandy are working on a project together. Yes. And Brandy's coming to Philly. And we're gonna do some amazing things that are gonna be happening. Yes, thank you, Trust that I voted today. Listen, we need everybody to vote. Yes.
Yes, come on.
Yes. So Brandy, tell my audience how they can find you on social media.
Yes, I am the Brandy K on all platforms. The website is thebrandyk.com. I'm everywhere: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. I said Facebook. Everywhere, all platforms. Definitely reach out. Join my mailing list. Right now, I'm definitely in a space of just giving a lot of content. Like I just want to give as much as I can right now. So come get it while it's free.
Listen, join Brandy's mailing list. Also join my mailing list as well. We're starting to give out. That's right. Collaborate. Listen, Kim, because we in 2 different demographic areas, and we got to sew this thing up. And the way you do it is you work together. Okay. Collaboration is where it's at.
Yes.
Yeah, so join Brandy's mailing list. If you're not on my mailing list, join my mailing list. We've been sending out some great things. We sent out something yesterday, and we got something really cool going out tomorrow. And also sign up for my text alerts. Text the word CEO Lady to 31996. So Brandy, before we go, sign up for my text alerts. Listen, Brandy, before we go, what parting words would you give to my audience?
Greatness takes time. Greatness takes time.
Greatness takes time.
Yeah. Don't let social media rush you. Don't let anybody rush you. Don't rush you. You don't even rush you. Greatness takes time. It'll happen. Keep going.
Listen, everybody, I hope that you've enjoyed our broadcast tonight. I'm super excited. It was a lot of key points, a lot of great takeaways that we're definitely going to share with you. If you missed some things that we said, go back and rewind it, watch it again, ask questions. I'm open to answer questions. Brandy's open to answer questions. You know, it's never too late to be great. It's never too late to invest in your dream and invest in your business. And even if you don't have finances, you got to invest time in your business and your brand. And like Brandy said, it's not about the numbers. It is definitely about the impact you're making. And because I would just tell you, you know, even from my own perspective, before we go, you know, you get the house, you get the car, you get all those things, but are you making or helping someone's life change? And that is how we are able to make change in our community and able to make change in our world, by really showing someone else the strategy and the process. So make sure you're committed to making someone else's life better, committed to making change, committed to making an impact. And most importantly, you got to believe in you and invest in you. All right, till next Thursday. Next Thursday's guest, Brandy, guess who I got next Thursday?
Oh.
My ultimate favorite dream guest that I've always wanted. And I want to tell you, God has given me favor. I have Wendy Williams, makeup artist, Morel.
Oh,
I have
yes.
if it wasn't a pandemic, I would actually go to New York for him to do my face. Okay. Like Morel beats Wendy's face every single day.
Wow.
So Morel is going to be with me next week. He's going to talk about skincare, taking care of your skin during the pandemic, you know, things you can do at home. Yeah, he's going to be sharing all of that, you know, tips, you know, because, you know, we all giving ourselves these masks and exfoliating, and we.
I'm on a makeup cleanse right now because I'm makeup cleansing right now.
Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm super happy that Morel's going to be with me next week, and you know, and that's just a true testament when you're committed. One of my friends is a hairstylist for The View, and he's friends with Morel, and so I said, I know you're friends with Morel. I said to him, I said, but I absolutely love Morel. He said he's on the live right now. I was like, you lying. And he was like, no, he's watching us now. So I was speaking to him, and so I just, you know, thanked him for watching and everything. So afterwards, I just sent him a note. No, he sent me a friend request. I sent him a note and just said, thank you for supporting, that I've been a fan of yours for a while. And I just appreciate you supporting. And I said, if you were ever open to being on my show, let me know the process. And he said, I will definitely come. And I was just like, so that's how I know that was just another level of confirmation for me that, you know, God positions you to be in the place and in the space that you're supposed to be in. So it's not about numbers. It's not about people, places, and things. It's just about you being in position. Because when you are in position, that's when the flow happens. And when you're out of position, you don't flow easily. And so for me to be able to have him to come on, number one, is great for me because I've always been a fan of his and his work. But number two, it was a reminder to me that as long as you are consistent, you are faithful, and you are committed to your dream and to your craft, that you can get opportunities, and opportunities will not be that hard.
No, they come in. That's just scratching the surface. It's gonna be Wendy Williams next.
Come on here. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. Yes, we have to position ourselves, and we can't think small. We cannot think small. When we think small, we limit ourselves. And when we limit ourselves, we never move to our potential. We stay where we are. So if you want to be further than where you are, you got to change your mindset, change your thinking, change your conversation, change your circle, and change how you view your business. You can't view your business as like a side gig. You got to view your business. You got to view your image, the way you show up, like you believe in this and you are committed to it. I got all hype. Look, I get excited to talk about it.
And I'm in my Zen space. I love it.
Yes. Yes. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure you come back and see me next Thursday. Tonight's episode was great. I'm looking forward to what me and Brandy are about to do next. Join Brandy's mailing list, join my mailing list, stay connected, ask us questions, and everybody have an amazing evening. Stay safe, and I will see you next week on Coffee with Bridgett. Bye.